everybody, this is Michelle with Creative Operation. I have a new way to make a lid using your We Are Memory Keepers Explosion scoreboard, and I just thought I would come on and give you this information, show you what I'm thinking of with the lid and kind of why I'm doing it. And then I'm going to have a link down below for a document that you can print out. If you have been following me and you know that I did kind of a what to do with your explosion scoreboard video, which I will link down below, I did have a printout that you could go get, and it kind of gives you a lot of information about everything that I talked about in that video so that you can have kind of a cheat sheet for it. So I'll have another cheat sheet for this new lid and the measurements that you would need for all of the different lids for the sizes that you can create with this board. But I wanted to do this today really super quick. So I'm in the process of making this explosion box, and I thought, well, while I'm doing it, I'm going to go ahead and do this. And then what I'll do at the end of the tutorial is put some pictures of how this turned out once I get it done. I'm right in the middle of designing it and doing it, so it's not quite finished yet. But anyways, that's what we're going to do today. So I'm using some scrap pieces of Spring Market by Carta Bella. This is a beautiful collection. It's a couple years old. I don't know if there's a date on here. Let me double check and see. Yeah, 2018. So it's about 6 years old. I still have some in my stash, and then my best friend gave me a partial package that had a couple different pieces of paper in it, full size, and then had some scraps in it. And so I thought, well, I'm going to go through this and, see what I can create. Well, I had some full-size pages, so I decided I was going to make like an explosion box for like a gift box for, like Mother's Day's coming up, Easter's coming up, and this collection is really kind of cute. So I thought, well, I'll do that. And then while I'm doing that, I'll do this tutorial. So far what I've got is I'm going to do just 2 layers of boxes. So with my scoreboard, I did the extra, extra large box, and I'm using the actual pattern paper as part of the box. Carta Bella paper is very thick, and it's very textured, and it's really nice. So it's working out really well. If you've seen my other videos for these, I usually use artisan cardstock from Country Craft Creations, and then I put pattern paper over it. This time, I've never done this before. I wanted to try using just the pattern paper for this. And since it's going to be kind of a gift boxy kind of thing, it's not really like a super huge album or anything, and I'm not doing a lot of layers, I thought, well, this is going to be perfect. So I'm using the scraps. I'm using what I have. I've cut some pieces that I thought would be cute photo mats, and then I have a sheet of stickers that go with this. So I'm going to decorate and do some things. Then I made a second layer, and it's only going to have 2 layers, like I said. And this is the large size. And again, I took the scraps that were there, and I made some photo mats. And so I haven't put it together yet. But then I thought, well, let's do this tutorial. Now the lid. So what I wanted to show you is that, so when I did some samples, because I was planning on doing this, I've been planning on doing this, and then today is just, it turned out to be the day. For an example, I did the extra, extra small lid, and I used the lid sizes, the extra, extra small size, 4.5 by 4.5, and I scored it just like the explosion board says. Now, in my tutorials, I always make tabs. I don't know if you can see it, but I always make tabs to do my box lids. I don't, on my lids, like to do the diagonal score and then fold it and then try to glue it down. I just think it makes too much bulk in the box, and I don't like that. So I've never done that, but all I've ever done is just score it on the lid line and create my tabs, put it together, and then you have to cover it with pattern paper because these tabs are showing, and I don't really like that either. So when you see my videos, I'm always doing that. Well, then I thought there's got to be a better way that'll be a little bit easier to do, because you can't cover the inside of the sides of your lid until it's put together when you use tabs. So then I thought, well, there's another method of making the lid where you can actually, if you're going to put pattern paper on it, you can totally do it while it's flat and then make the box. So I played around with some sizes, and I created a way to do that. And so I used the same kind of paper. So it was colored peach on one side and it's white on the other, so you can see the difference. So this one has the tabs because I did it like the board says. This one's with the new measurements. And it'll cover the tabs. And if you're using like a pattern paper, for example, you wouldn't have to, you know, like go back in after the fact and put pattern paper down. It's already kind of papered for you. So I did that. Let me show you how I did that. Basically what we're going to do is put 2 lid lines on each side. Now this is not a new way to make a lid. We've been making lids like this forever, but I wanted to use the explosion board because we're making an explosion box with it to show you how to do it. Okay, so this one is going to be for the extra large box that I'm creating. So I'm going to use the measurements that I came up with to make the box for that. So again, I'm going to have a printable down below. You'll have a link and you can go ahead and get that and print it out and use it as a cheat sheet to make your own boxes for all of the sizes that this board will create for you. Okay, so for the extra large lid, I figured out that we need a piece of cardstock that is 8 3/4 by 8 3/4. So you're not going to look at these measurements here. Just ignore those because I changed them. We had to add some extra space in order to do this. So 8 3/4 by 8 3/4. And we're going to score on the lid line all the way around. Okay, that's pretty standard. I'm just using some black cardstock. I believe this is Basil cardstock. So it's a pretty good weight and it has a texture to it, and it was in the little kit that my friend gave me, so I wanted to use that. So once you do the first score line, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go around, I'm going to burnish that first score line. I'm going to put it back in my board and I'm going to score it again. Okay, so on the lid line. So now what you'll have is 2 lines. Okay, so I'm going to go to the next side. I'm going to fold this over. I'm going to put this back in my board and I'm going to just score it again. Okay, so again, we're creating just another line. We can do this on the opposite side if you'd like, so I can see, or you can see. So we're just basically folding it over and putting it back in the board, and we're just scoring it again on that lid line. So we're essentially just creating the 2 scores. Last time, we'll go ahead and do that. All right, so fold it, put it back in your board, and score. And then what I want to show you, if I can find my ruler, is that this inside box area, the lid for the extra large box that I'm creating, the box is 4 by 4, so the lid needs to be 4 1/4 by 4 1/4, and this will measure 4 1/4 by 4 1/4. So we've essentially just created a really nice lid that you're going to be able to put pattern paper on all over the place before you actually make your box, which is really kind of cool. And it's a lot easier. It's a lot easier. And especially if, you know, you're like me and I'm getting a little older, my hands are getting a little more stiff and it's getting a little bit hard, you know, sometimes to do a lot of paper crafting. So my hands get tired. So if, you know, trying to put pattern paper inside a box when it's made is sometimes pretty tough, especially if it's a smaller box. So this might be a lot easier. So once you've done the scoring, you're done with your explosion board, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to create tabs here. So I'm going to do a T, T, more lead, T, and a T. Okay, so these 4, when you make this, when you do this, you'll have 4 squares. The inner square here is going to be a tab. These outer squares will cut out. So I'm just going to simply cut straight up that score line because we want to make sure that the sides of our box lid is nice and straight, okay? And then I'm going to do it like this. So I'm just going to cut it at an angle up to that score line, so that piece that we labeled T is kind of tab shaped. It has a little bit of an angle to it. And then we're going to turn it and we're going to cut up the score and those two pieces will come out. And then we'll cut off the bottom of this. And then we'll take that out. So you should have a piece that looks like that. So this is going to be your tab that attaches to create your box sides, okay? So then I'm going to turn it around and I'm going to do that for all the sides, and then I'll come back and I'm going to show you what this is going to look like. I'm going to pinwheel mine just because that's my habit and I don't want to screw myself up. So I'm just going to go to the other side, and I'm always going to cut just on the bottom right side here, and then that way my tabs will go in different directions. But I kind of like that because I think that it gives the box sides, especially on smaller boxes, a little extra strength. But with this particular type of lid, it doesn't really matter because you still have this extra piece here that we're going to do. So anyway, I'm going to do that all the way around and I'll be right back. So this is what the lid should look like when you're done cutting these out. So you can see that I have the tabs here to create the box form or the lid form, and then the outer 3 squares are cut out. And then I went ahead and cut my pattern papers. You will need 2 pieces of pattern paper that are for the extra large lid, 4 1/8 by 4 1/8, and that will cover the outside top and then the inside here. Then you'll need 4 pieces for what's going to be the outside of the box sides. And then on the inside, you'll need 4 pieces as well for the inside of the box lid sides, okay? These all measure 4 1/8 by 1, okay? So 2 at 4 1/8 by 4 1/8, and then 8 altogether at 4 1/8 by 1. So putting these on, this is the outside. We're going to cover the entire outside. We're only going to do the inside top. You don't need to cover the sides on that. So I'm just going to take my glue here and I'm going to put this down just right in the middle. That's the only piece that you have to cover. And what did I do with my wipey? Oh my goodness, doing a tutorial and I never, ever, 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 ever get my wipey ready to go. Gosh. All right. Just like that. Okay. And we're going to turn that over. And here is the outside of our lid. And then you'll just, follow this and do it for all of the different sizes. And I'll give you that cheat sheet link and you can go get that and print it out, free to use, not a problem. But it'll go along with all of the other things that I have figured out how to do with using the scoreboard, and I just love it. All right, so I'm going to use the pink on the outside here. So this inner rectangle here is going to be the outside of your lid. So just make sure when you do your papers that you have them, as you want them, what colors you want on the outside and what colors you want on the inside. So the inner rectangle here, the inner strip, is going to be the outside of your box or lid, your box lid, yeah. And then the outer one will go to the inside of the box. If you're using directional paper, be aware of how it's going to lay down so that you don't get it confused as far as, the orientation goes. So I'm just going to lay these all around, and this pink has kind of a little pattern to it, so I'm trying to kind of do it a little bit opposite of each other, if that makes sense with the design. And I didn't ink the edges or anything, so you can, of course, do that, depending on what papers you're using and what your project is, and if you want to or not, and all the things. And a lot of times I don't ink, especially if there's a lot of white in it. I don't like to ink too much. So my favorite go-to ink is the Tim Holtz Vintage Photo I go through that like water. So that edge didn't cut very nicely, so I'm going to just trim that up real quick. Looks like it has a little fuzzy on it. Okay. Lay that down. This is just going to be a quick little project. I am going to be doing another craft fair coming up in May. So I thought that this would be a cute little, you know, like gift box, because it's going to be right before Mother's Day. So it'd be like a little photo album, a little gift box. Doesn't take a lot of paper. And like I said, with the Cartabella paper, it's pretty thick. So it would stand up to, you know, being an explosion box type project without having to use a lot of cardstock. But I wanted to use the black on the top because I just thought that that made it pop. So last pieces. And this one's going to go kind of this direction, just kind of because I feel like it. There we go. All right, and then last piece here. All right, so our box is papered now, and you don't have to put it together and then try to paper the insides. I think this technique is really cool. So then the next step is to just put glue on your little tabs. And you've seen me do this technique before, making lids like this. I've done it before. Nothing new. The only new thing is how to do it with your explosion board. So, and to get the measurements right for your lid and not have to use 2 different scoreboards for a project. You can just get the one explosion board out and you can do your whole project with that, which I think is pretty cool. I'm just gluing the sides together, matching up those sides with the tabs. I'm using Art Glitter Glue. I get it from Country Craft Creations. It is amazing. It dries quickly. It dries clear. And I love it. So, it does give you a few seconds to kind of move things around if you need to, if you don't get it quite where you want it the first time. But it does set really quick, which I love. Okay, last piece, and I didn't put my little tabby on the inside like I usually try to do, so I don't have to try and bend it in there. And then it's black, so I'm having a hard time seeing it. So I know you guys are too, but I'm just putting glue on the tab there. All right, and then the cool part about this is that all these tabs are going to get covered up and reinforced. And then once we get these pieces laid down, I mean, this lid is done. And we got to do it all, you know, flat till we had to put it together. So that's nice. All right, so I'm going to bend this back a little bit so you can see. I'm just putting glue on that outer one, and it's 1 1/8 inch using that scoreboard. That 1 1/8 inch side, and then I'm just folding it over and pressing it down. And look at there, voila. Tabs covered, papers on inside of your lid is beautiful. And you could do it all flat, which I think is amazing. It's better than trying to fit that piece of paper in there after the box is made, right? So I'm just putting that in there, and voila. Using my bone folder to make sure everything's good. Now, the explosion box lids are 1/4 inch bigger, you know, than the box that they're covering. So like the extra large box measures 4 by 4. The lids are 4 1/4 by 4 1/4. You want that extra space because the explosion box expands, right? And so that helps get the lid on. It's not super tight. It's not too tight at all. And then it also gives you room to add, you know, your pretty pattern papers and all that stuff and make it all nice and beautiful. Okay, so we're gonna just do this. I know this is a really quick and dirty, and I'm just going to show you how to do this lid, because you just follow the measurements and do the same exact technique on the other sizes and you're going to be good to go. All right, so I'm just going to show you on the one lid, and then like I said, at the end of the video I'll have pictures of what this turned out to be using the pieces and bits and stuff that I had. So once you get the box done, let me grab the box itself, because I haven't, you know, of course, put everything together. So extra large box. I did the sides and I just cut these off instead of making hearts. It folds up like this, and then your lid will go on it just like that, and voila, there's your box. And I think that's really cool. I like the contrast of the black lid and then putting the pattern paper on that, but then having the box be solid, you know, a solid print kind of thing. So that's really pretty, but you do need thicker paper for this. So if you have really thin paper, that's not going to hold up really well. All right, that's the end of my tutorial. So thanks for watching. Again, this is my new way to make a different kind of lid using my We Are Memory Keepers explosion board. And I'll have a link down below so you can go ahead and get a copy of a cheat sheet for this type of lid for you. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you give it a try and let me know. So thanks for watching. Have a great day and stay crafty. Bye-bye.